always evolving, you're always growing, you're always expanding what you do. Because the people that you're going against, these guys down this row right here, are doing the same thing. And it's a high level intellectual pursuit, to be honest with you. So that's what we're going to try to do again this year and do the best we can with it.
What are your thoughts on Michael Thompson?
I think Michael did great. Mike's great. A couple years ago, everybody was like, "Why Mike McDonald?" So now I can go, well, that's why. You saw it. He's a great guy. He's a great coach. He's very diligent. Yes, he's a smart. He's thoughtful. But he's fundamentally grounded. He's very diligent. Every single day, all he thinks about is ways to help the guys be as good as they can be and attack the offense that he's going against. I do think he'll expand it into the role, being a head coach. I think he'll take those qualities and apply them to being a head coach and do a great job.
What's that about Denard for Tennessee?
Yeah, Denard was really with us the 1 year, came in and kind of fit right into with the system and learned it and added to it. Those two things that you always want when you bring coaches in. He's a great communicator, great teacher, very demanding coach in a really good way, in a way that I think guys respect. I'm sure he'll do a great job in Tennessee. Yeah, Anthony's just an absolute star. I think you probably got to know him a little bit. Well, you know him really well, but you see him. He lights up a room. He fills up a room too. Fills up a room and lights up a room, right? And then the way he treats people, the way he responds to problems and problem-solving type of things, the way he coaches the guys, the way he presents, his understanding of defense generally, but also is really good at high level. But also his leadership ability, the way he manages players, and coaches, and works with the people. I just think he's a great leader, and I think he does a great job whatever he does. As I said before, all these guys we're talking about are potential head coaches.
John, having continuity on your coaching staff and also having had some outside hires like Louis last year worked out, how do you feel about the challenge of casting a wide net, knowing who's out there, knowing what the coaching pipeline is, and how do you feel challenging it as a coach to know where the smart people are, who you're going to bring college kids to the league or
Big challenge. You've got to be very conscientious about that. You got to understand. It's not really it's a small world, football, but it's a very sought after world. So there's a lot of people trying to get in. There's a lot of talented people out there that could really make a difference, and you just got to figure out who they are. I had a great conversation. I hope Coach Saban doesn't get mad at me for sharing this, but happened to talk to him about 2 weeks ago. He was talking about all the different things. And one of the things he talked about was all the coaching change he had in the last 10 years because of their success. Coaches would come and be there a year or two, then they'd go get a head coaching job. Look at Sark, and others. So he just felt like the challenge of finding new coaches, hiring new coaches, especially as you get a little bit older. Like when you're young, you're 35, you kind of know who all the 35-year-old coaches are. Now you get to be 60s or 70s in coaches' case. You probably know the 60 and 70-year-old coaches are, but you don't know the 35-year-old coaches as much. And then he had to train those guys every single year. I think that does become a big challenge of success. Nobody had it at a higher level than him, so that's a huge part of it. Oh, that's such a great question. How do you evaluate quarterbacks? I'll tell you, to me, it's and I think it's kind of just the way the game has gone. We've expanded our view of what a quarterback is. So it's most obvious with Lamar. I think would anybody say we made a bad decision when we drafted him back in 2018? But at the time, there was a lot of people saying that. So I think the view has changed a lot in terms of how we view athletes or people or whatever in terms of their roles. And the game has changed because of that. In the last 6 years, the way quarterbacks play, I think if you go back and you look at football, it's 15, 16, 17, or before that, there's pretty much a model for that position. That model has definitely, wouldn't you say, expanded tremendously. And to me, I would like to say we were a little ahead of the curve on that, But even we're learning as we go and we watch guys play, and you watch all these guys play. The way Tua gets the ball out so fast, how can we incorporate some of that stuff into our offense? It's just one example.
Washington Commanders, Mike Test, 1, 2, 3, Test.
Eric's an avid reader, and he shares those messages with the team. Yeah. You must do it one-on-one because I'm not getting the messages. I want some messages from I see the books, but I need to get some book recommendations from Eric. Eric's a super smart, thoughtful, deep thinking kind of a person, and I think he's wide read, on a lot of topics when he has time. He's probably a little more, after the draft and before the draft, I would say, because I don't see him doing too much reading now. Not in his office. I see him on that tape a lot. So, but he's just been unbelievable. I mean, I think this Eric is a great general manager, well-rounded, every aspect of it. He's involved with the players. He does a great job. He's involved with a discipline program. All those different kind of things. I think he's just really special in many ways.
How important is a degree of John? How important is a degree of?
How important is running backs? Up in the air. It's up in the air. We don't have a lot of guys under contract right now. We've got Justice. Just love the way Justice played. He was incredible all year. Took another step. I think he's a great player. Then after that, we just got to see him. We'd love to get Gus back. JK's floating around out there. Just guys who've been with us. We'll just have to see how it goes.
How important is a degree of friction or conflict in personnel decision making?
How important is the degree of conflict in personnel?
A degree of conflict.
A degree.
Friction that you sort things out.
Well, yeah. I mean, if everybody agrees, then you're probably wrong, right? I mean, that's for sure. So we have a lot of that, but it's respectful. Our draft room is say what you think, or forever hold your peace, and everybody says what they think. Nobody's ever holding their peace, and it's not peaceful. It's not. But the conflict is good. We try to confront everything, every aspect of our football, of our evaluations, of our scheme, of our everything we do football-wise. We try to confront it together to make it better. We're not confronting one another ever. We're confronting the issues.
What would you say what you said about evaluating quarterbacks? How would you evaluate last year? Oh, yeah. Especially the top 6 commanders, Hawaii, how that went, and how Stroud did. How would you say that went?
I don't know. I really wouldn't, to be honest with you, because it's just like it's nothing that we really, as a head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, I'm not really doing that. I'm not really evaluating the class per se. I know C.J. Stroud was really tough to play against. We didn't get a chance to play against Carolina, so it's harder for me to say. But C.J. Stroud, I said it after the first game we played him in the opener. This team is going to win a lot of games, and I'd like to remind everybody of that right now because they won a lot of games, right? So they've got a very talented team. I think their general manager is outstanding. I think their head coach is outstanding. They've got a great staff, and they've built a heck of a football team. But the quarterback is really important, right? And C.J. Stroud is a star. I don't have any idea about that. I really don't even try to evaluate that.
Because of the trade,
Well, I think it's great. I mean, Jim and I share like a lot of conversations about a lot of things. Most of it's not football related, obviously, just like with your family. But a lot of it has been football related because, he's been in Michigan. That's definitely going to be different, like it was when he was at San Francisco. There's things we'll talk about, and we're definitely going to continue to be brothers. We're going to try to, we're just going to be brothers. I mean, you have to look at it that way. But we are going to be competitors too, so it'll probably change a little bit.
what do you think of Michigan mutually benefited, I guess, over the last?
Sure. I absolutely think that. Yeah, I think you're right, exactly right.
Ron, at last year's combine, you talked about Todd Monken and Lamar's fit. How would you say Lamar's fit with Monken changed over the course of the year, and how did he progress?
I think it progressed naturally. We're just beginning. We're just starting. We're 1 year into this thing. There's so many things that I feel like looking back on it now. They actually were baby steps. They were hard steps for us to take because it was a sea change in terms of offensive philosophy. Yet they were baby steps looking back on them. We have so far to go. Lamar's excited. Todd's excited. All the coaches. We have a plan. We came out the very first day after the AFC Championship game talking about where we were going to go offensively. And had a staff meeting about it, met with Todd, met with all the coaches individually, met with Lamar a couple days after that, met with different players, and we have a direction right now where we want to go. We want to be tight, we want to be locked in, we want to understand how this offense applies to Lamar and our players, and we want to do right by our players. We want to do right by Lamar and build the best operation that we can for him so his talents can really shine. And I think we're just starting with that.
Eric was talking about you mentioned a young player like Dave Flower, Keith Mitchell, those guys so special. Who do you expect to take the next step this year to develop?
Well, I think Rashad Bateman's going to take a big step, just off the top of my head. You know, I think Rashad's going to get opportunities this year. He ran routes really well. He worked super hard. He was healthy for the first time. Even as the year went on, he got healthier, and you could see it in his play. The ball got to him when it did. He made some great plays. The ball's going to get to him a lot more next year. He's going to be ready to go. We got Nelson back. Nelson is a big signing back. He played a big role last year. Of course, Zayd speaks for himself. We got Ty in there. Ty did a good job. Then you never know with a guy like Odell. I know that's probably a question people are asking. I've got my fingers crossed. We'll see. That's kind of out there. Those are those things that kind of answer themselves in time. I love our tight ends as receivers. So all that is very part of it.
Following up on that,
How much can a draft like this help you in that process?
Yeah, the draft can help a lot. Certainly with the offensive line, Jeff. I guess it's a good. I just started watching it, so so far so good. You know, and Eric tells me it's a good line draft. That's one thing, but the offensive line is where it starts. We talked about that in 2008. It's been true forever. You know, you win in the trenches first, right? So we think that we're offensive line centric in our philosophy, and we've got some question marks in our offensive line. So there's going to be some rebuilding that's going to have to be done in there. And we're getting to it already. It's going to be really probably the most important thing we do on offense. Roquan Smith has made a sea change in our defense. I think that Roquan kind of just tied it all together. You know what I mean? He made it all kind of fit and make sense. We were doing the same things on defense that we were doing when Roquan got here, and we were doing it pretty well. We were getting better as that season went along. But everybody saw it. When he got here, it changed. It made everybody better around him, and it's only gotten better since. So yeah, Roquan, love him. One of the best.
John, there was talk at the end of last year, turned out to be unfounded. Your buddy Mike Tomlin might knock him back in Pittsburgh. Did you ever believe that? And did you ever imagine not having him on the other sideline when he played?
No and no. Pretty good. Much respect, much love for Coach Tomlin, for the Steelers organization, for the players, and Cam Hayward. I was in Pittsburgh as a young coach, graduate assistant coach, when his dad was the running back there. I had Hayward. I saw him, first guy ever, 300-plus pounds, leap BYU defensive back down the sideline and run another 40 yards for a touchdown. I think he kind of epitomizes them now as well, their tradition. So, yeah, I'd say, yeah, exactly. No and no to both those questions.